Yes, people, greetings, 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 greetings. Much love and respect to each and everyone, the football fanatics, fans. Yes, as we are coming close to that time again of the year, another 4 year spin right around the globe where the biggest sporting event on earth, the FIFA World Cup, is here again. My goodness grace, I'm so happy at this time, but a piece of me at this moment still heating up because guess what? There's no black, green, and gold in the World Cup. But, we are going to live the experience, as we go along. And, we live and we learn. And, we're going to have to accept different challenges in life. But guess what, man? The FIFA World Cup is here, African brothers and our neighboring rivals as well. Mexico versus South Africa, L3 versus Bafana. People, it's going to be a very good showdown today. Don't be surprised if you see a blowout, and don't be surprised if you see a very tight-knit game where two teams just going at it. The atmosphere will soak up every bit of pass that grass get on that pitch. So we're going to get into a few insights as well. But before we go any further, much love and respect to the viewers as you guys join in as well. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you guys as well, but I'm ready to watch a beautiful game of football. Mexico, the overwhelming favorite. South Africa, one of the dark horse team, underdog team in Group A coming into this game. I think they have something to prove. I think look at where they set up. I'm going to get to that very shortly as well. How South Africa set up. If the way I see how they set up and foot map, if that's how the Belgium coach will go about his business, it's a change of tactics, it's a change of direction, and it's all about to counteract what this Mexican team can do, having the ball. We expect Mexico to have a whole bulk of the football. You get what I'm saying? But what I'm seeing from the South African team, it seems like they have something planned. I wish that game was live, the Reggae Boy game. Maybe that was a game where the coach, tried to play three at the back. I'm not sure because this Mexican team where they can switch to different formations really quick. That holding midfielder in front, the two center half can really drop in between and then push both wingers up front, and it becomes a 3 at the back, defending with a 5 at the back, and then you have the two advanced midfielders will drop in that holding midfield and form a double pivot. No Edson Alvarez in the team. As I'm trying to get the starting 11, pin up here as well. You get it. Starting 11. So the starting 11, this game. So yeah, right here. So looking at the starting 11 at this moment, Rangel, in goal. No Ochoa. No Ochoa in goal. No 6 World Cup. We don't know if he's going to come on with his eyes. Highly unlikely that he will not feature in the game today because as less Rangel go down injured. But Montes and Vasquez, the long-time partnership of the two Mexican CBs. Yes. So you're looking at it where Gerardo Gallardo, the number 23 at the left back, very good advanced left back as well. Likes to get up and down that left-hand side. Reyes, I think it's a much defensive-minded right back from what they really had, in their squad as well, where you look at Jorge Sanchez, a much more attacking, right back. So they go in with a balance of one attacking fullback, which is the left-hand side, and Reyes, not so much, for attacking fullback, more of try to deal with what South Africa will throw at them. And a bit of a surprise as well, within this South Africa team, you expect to see a few faces, but Rainers, another player from Sundown who has scored loads of goals in the South African Premier League as well. Is in the team. A lot of people were expecting Apolis to get the nod. But the big news, will this continue? The 3 at the back, with Sibisi, Ocon, and Mbokazi. Will that be the formation going forward in this game? And you know, this South African team, they can mix a lot of things up with their tactics, their layout and how they play the game. Team that likes to play the 4-2-3-1, the 4-3-3, sometimes can defend as a 4-4-2 as well. So it's a very interesting setup. But let's go back over, to the Mexican setup where in the midfield, Liria, another experienced campaign as well. Not so much games, at the club level, a bit surprised, but not too much. I've seen Ed Alvarez, to get on the pitch, to start a game. Maybe he will be an option off the bench, as well. Not being one of the favorite in the midfield since this new coach took over, Javier Aguirre and Rafa Marquez, the assistant and the head coach. Ed Alvarez more find himself in and out of a team, not more of a staple in the Mexican team anymore, as we have seen big changes. No Luis Chavez, no Luis Romo, no Ed Alvarez. You look at the long-time players that used to be in that midfield as well. None of those players, so it's a complete, totally revamp of our whole structure, players, what happened, in the last World Cup of Mexico not being Mexico in that World Cup after beating Germany in Russia. El Chucky, golazo, golazo. My lovely friend Daniel don't want to remember that, what El Chucky did to the German. Yeah, but it's a very interested, Fidalgo as well. Some of these players like, Liria at the 6, Gutierrez, these players are not the most standout player at the club level, but Jesus, Javier Aguirre, the coach, he stick to his guns, and these are some of the players he has been trying out over the last couple of international windows. You go back to as far as September, October, November, and also March window as well. And I was watching that very good game of this Mexican team versus Serbia, and it was a very good show. A lot of intensity. But the man out on the left hand side, QNS, dual heritage player from South America, coming over, switching allegiance, playing for the L3, playing in Saudi Pro League at this moment, and the man that just signed for his old club back into the championship, Raul Jimenez. Yes, if Raul Jimenez can get a goal today, he will equal and join to the all best goal, top goal scorer for the Mexican national team with 46 as well. So a bit of issue on the line. And then, this will be the game changer for me. Alvarado, very dynamic, skillful player. It's a player that, likes to come in, but he will be the driving train on that right-hand side. He will be the width. When you have, his right-hand side partner, Reyes, is not much of an attacking fullback, but will get up there. Don't be surprised he get forward as much as he used to be, even at his club. But Alvarez is the one that going to get the team, stretched out on this right-hand side. 1v1, I think he's very good. I think he, really can beat, at any defender, any given point. And I think Mbokazi and Modiba, that's literally two defensive-minded out on that left-hand side for South Africa. So they will be playing with two wing back, and I think they kind of have our prompt that the Mexican team will go with three at the back, or at some given point in the game, they will really transition into a back three. But it's very interested, you understand? It's very interested. Let's see, Daniel, you there? Give your thoughts, give your inputs, what you think about, the starting 11, your prediction, let me know if you're there. Get off mute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so, we have talked about the South African team, that how they can be different, switching from 4-2-3-1, to a 4-3-3 flat three in the middle and a flat three up front, but they go with a back three. And we know Mexican team, the 6 usually sit deep, usually drop in between the center half, and, the wing backs will be pushed up and try to pin their opposition team back. What's your thought? Very much surprise, with the South African team and the Mexican team with no Ed Alvarez in the midfield.
Yeah, when I saw this team, the Mexican team for first, I think that's the first player I was looking at. Where is Elva Alvarez? Um, didn't start on the bench. This is a very new Mexican team. There's no Chavez as well in the midfield. You get what I'm saying? So very a lot of new faces. Very new faces, and also on the South Africa team, Foster that play
Burnley.
for Burnley in the Premier League. I know Burnley got relegated, but you have been very decent striker when I see him play for Burnley. So I think he would be the one to look out for Mexico. I think he would definitely give Mexico a lot of problems in this game.
Yeah, I think even looking at his partner up front as well in a play for local team in South Africa, Sundown scored almost 20 goals this campaign in the Rainers. Much of a physical. They're looking like they're going with physical player up front and try to more of the Mexican team will press and more of a probably go over the top and try to hit the ball long. Hope these players can hold the play. Player like Mokena and Adams will get forward a lot. Sitol will be that midfielder in the middle that will sit deep. And more of getting players to get up over the pitch where they can get a bit of respite, and then I think they will bank on a lot of set piece, which a lot of people might be surprised when they hear this. The Mexican team have scored 12 goals so far under Javier Aguirre since the international friendlies at set piece. So even Mexican are trying and doing a lot of set piece work. You're much surprised of a Mexican team scored double digits in the last 12 months, of set piece.
Yeah, I think Jimenez definitely gonna be a very threat in the box. You get what I'm saying? And they do have Santiago to can come off the bench as also if they definitely need someone to come in and change the game. Even though he haven't have a good season at AC Milan, but still someone Viga off the bench as well. So Mexico does have a strong bench. Does have Alvarez on the bench as well, who can come in the midfield or in the centre back. So Mexico does have a strong bench, even though the team that they put out is kind of a little bit inexperienced with a little bit of experience in. So I just see Mexico go to the bench if they definitely need to win the game, if the game is still near in the game. But definitely gonna go for a Mexico win. I think Mexico definitely gonna be winning, getting this game off with a win for me today. But not gonna hold it up. But yeah, I definitely see Mexico winning this first game in the World Cup.
Yeah, I think emotional wise will really ride high in the Azteca, newly renovated Azteca. I love it, looking at it at this moment, hearing the Mexicans singing the national anthem, the South African anthem as well. So I think the more this South African team can really get the Aztecas quiet, tone down as much as possible, and then feed their way into phases in the first segment of the game, which I think the first segment of the game should go to Mexico, where they want to start on the front foot, they want to pin the team back. And South Africa, rule number one, you cannot concede in the first quarter of the first half, in the first 10 to 15 minutes, else you'll be chasing the ball, and then you don't want to be chasing a game in the Azteca when the heat, the humidity, the climate is just different than what South Africa have experienced over the last 12 months. That's why they kind of base a bit early, playing in Pachuca, a city that much higher than Mexico City as well. So they kind of giving themselves a little bit of leg room, but it's all about what the players can do on the pitch. It's all about the game changers, off the bench as well.
Yeah.
Mexico have a lot of firing power off the bench that can really come on and change the game. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's so much stuff to look at in the game. When you look at go ahead.
Yeah, I must say this. The one thing I would say with the Jamaican viewers that played Mexico, not play South Africa the other day, and South Africa have been hiding their games from the Mexican media and from everybody. So I want to know if he's that tactics of hiding all these games, is that gonna be a result where that's gonna benefit them in the long run? You get what I'm saying? Because they've been
Maybe
hiding all the
maybe the
games.
maybe the three at the back. Maybe that's what the Belgium coach was really hiding tactically from this Mexican media and the coach as well, of not knowing that this team is practicing three at the back. I watched some highlights. I didn't watch the full games of when they play the Panamanian team in a 2-game series, and also play the Nicaraguan team as well. And you could see that they're trying their best to play as much as CONCACAF teams as well. And not South Africa is the only team trying to play the teams from that region that will be in their group. Other teams out there as well, try. Argentina didn't play a European team after winning the FIFA World Cup. So tactically, these teams really choose who they want to play. And football at this moment, is just a different dynamic on how they really choose the opponents carefully, tactical wise, what that opponent will bring, to my team. And you could hear the grumble and the rumble that Brass, the Belgium South African coach, really complain about the last game before they head to Mexico, where they play the CONCACAF team, Nicaragua, where he complained the team sit too deep, not much real attacking threat, just playing a lot of direct pass. He wants teams to really come at him and test his team. And, he wants to get things out there of getting the team settled. Even after that game finished versus the Reggae Boys in Pachuca, where that one ends 1-1, he was still a bit dominated of he's not happy. He needs more. He's yet to really figure out things with the South African team. So I guess a few days looking at the games they played in previous time, they come to the conclusion that, listen, this is the best system and this is what I am going to use. So we lost Daniel, so we ride him solo at this given moment. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a very interesting one. And let's see if these tactical work that South Africa have been putting during the training pitch as well, if it will really work out. Because after the Reggae Boy game play in Pachuca, the next couple training session, South Africa completely black out the entire media landscape in Mexico. And it's been a problem since they arrived in Mexico. They've been, being a bit kind of skeptical on who they let through, to see their training session. So it's time, and let's see if those South African players can execute anything outside of a loss, will be beneficial for the South African team. If they can get the result like what they got 16 years ago in Johannesburg, in the Birdnest Stadium, then it will be a magnificent result for the Bafana team. But I cannot see this game end with the Mexican team not manage to get full 3 points as the setup. Look at the stadium jam packed, people been sleeping overnight outside of the Azteca, want to be the first one to get a taste of the newly renovated, historical venue as well. So the stage has been set. Now, it's time for the kickoff. Mexico will kick off the ball first in the National Stadium. And, here we go, at this time, the ball kicking off. And you could see already 3 at the back with the Mexican team. Liria dropped right in between Cesar Montes and Chavez as well. So let's see what's going to happen with this matchup with the two teams shaping out to be 3 at the back. South Africa more looking off. They are playing with a 5 at the back straight. 5 men different line off right across that back in front of the goalkeeper and the 3 midfielders in the middle of the park and the 2 big men up front. I'm looking at more of a direct approach from the South African team. As moment they get the ball, is going to try to be quick transition game. No hold up play, no real slow possession. Just try to hit this team out of position real quick. And this is the thing I think this Mexican team have been troubled with over the years, where the slow build up, the lot of possession in the middle third and defensive third, no real penetration, how much, they can get these players, the Gutierrez and the ball in the midfield, I've tried to create, the space, for Alvarado, give him the ball as quick as possible out on that right-hand side where, Mbokazi will be. And what's the other South African name that's playing out on that left-hand side? I forgot his name. His name is Modiba. Try to isolate these players as quick as possible. So let's see how the game will pan out in the next 15 or so. And the South Africa is the first turnover from the Mexican, and the South Africa ball, went wide out on the right hand side. The ball is in between the back three, going back to Ryan Williams, the goalkeeper. Mbokazi is drifting wide. He get it inside the middle of the hole. See, slow build up, no real pressure, no real intensity after losing the ball. The Mexicans, the wing backs on the left hand side as well. Embodida, is very high over in the Mexican half. No real press, allowing the South African team to get a bit of a position on the ball. The last time this Mexican team played an opening group stage game and lost, it was 1994, a year when I wasn't born as yet. So let's see if history can repeat itself of what happened the last time the US host a World Cup game where South Africa, Mexico lost their first group stage game versus Norway 2-1 as well. So much intriguing stuff, very excited. I don't know, there are so many political talks, around the World Cup before a ball was kicked. No, it's all about the rhythm, it's all about what is happening on the pitch. We see in early foul as well, not giving Alvarado not much penetration, a player that likes to get infield as well. And this is the danger of the South African team. As much as the South African team is very good at defending set piece, the little people, the Mexicans, been known for a set piece, giant in this region over the last 12 months or so, especially under this new interim coaching staff, Rafa Marquez and Javier Aguirre. They've been specialized and been a specialist of a team with the ball dead spot on the grass already. So let's see what will happen, 4 minutes into the game. Wow, that one run. That was a very poor free kick. Very, very poor. Very poor. I thought it would have been the left footer Alvarado, but it was very poor from Reyes in the middle of the park as well. Yeah, so much more, to talk about. But there's one thing though. I know Gutierrez, can be that creative midfielder in the middle, and Fidalgo, and Liria, can be, and it's a Mexican. Oh my God, what a save already! What a very good save. Ryan Williams, the skipper, in between the stick, and it's the man Raul Jimenez trying to get his 46 goal for the L3 national team, trying to sit on 46 with Borgetta, the all-time leading goal scorer of the Mexican national team. History is on the line for the newly clubman at Wolverhampton. Will be playing in the championship this campaign, and it's already trying to hit the near post. That's the specialty of this Mexican team when kicking a corner. The in swing, just similar like what Mikel Arteta and this Arsenal team likes to do. In swing, left footer on the right hand side, right footer on the left hand side, and here comes the break. And it is Ryan's, looking for his partner. It's faster. It's a very good ball out on that left-hand side. And if he pass it, the player will get caught offside. And here go Rangel came out, not a very good play by Foster and Co. right there for the South African team. Much love, to the fans as well tuning in. Yes, it is World Cup time. I'm a bit surprised, the intensity is not a bit more, in the first 15, the Mexican team. This South African team is not the best of, the most defensive top record coming into this World Cup. They have been, 50-50 at and cool, throughout the qualifier as well. But if you look at, how much they really conceded, some very sloppy goals, in the qualify, looking at some of the statistics as well, they would say in the first 30 minutes, this South African team, conceded 15% of the goals that they concede throughout the entire World Cup campaign as well. So, you want to start the game well. You as a Mexican on the pitch, you don't want this game to go 0-0 in the first 45 minutes. And then, the crowd, we know how toxic the Mexican fans can be. Yeah, it's a toxic fans that really watch and support their beloved Mexican team. But when things are not going good, they really can make their voice be heard from the inside of the stadium as well. So let's see, what will happen with the fans as well, feeling the heat. But no real creativity in the midfield so far from this Mexican team. Just more of boxing the ball around, trying to figure out, how they can get, on his Gallardo already. He's the one that out on that left-hand side, the more attacking fullback in this team, and you could see he's right on the byline after South African byline, and it is a goal kick, and it was a wonderful challenge from the South African player as well. Goes by the name Modoa, out on that right hand side for them as well. So South African team is getting, a lot of, they're getting a lot of, favorable calls so far. The 50-50 challenge has been very good of them. That was a very good close down as well. Who was that? Raul Jimenez closing down one of the player that played in the back three for the South African team. More likely that is Sibisi out on that right center back role as well. Here he goes again, and he go direct more off the number 9 up front for the South African team. Not seeing much, after dual heritage man, out on that left-hand side, QNS, like to see more of him. He will be more of the supporting winger that will try to play as close as possible to Raul Jimenez out of the wingers, that they're playing in this game, Alvarado and QNS. Alvarado more of the one that will create the width, as the right fullback on that side is not an attacking fullback, so you expect him to be a little bit more lenient on how he push forward as well. You could see the man on the TV right there, the technical professor Javier Aguirre will be open. Mexico can really, really break this trend of knocking out of the group of the quarterfinal, and it's a turnover. And here we go, and it's a golazo. QNS, the man with the dual heritage, and it is a turnover from the South African defensive line. My goodness grace, you cannot give up that easy goal like that, and Beer is throwing all over the place, and this Mexican team down by their dugout, celebrating 1-0. 1-0. 8 minutos. QNS, golazo. Wow. Mistake all over. It happened in minutes ago where, they got blocked. Raul Jimenez was pressing very high, and, you could see very good goal right in between Ryan Williams' leg. And talks has been around this goalkeeper where he's not the best of a shot blocker. And you want to say that ball has to save. Like, that ball cannot go right through your legs. You have to save that ball. As a goalkeeper, the player wasn't really in front, the South African, goalkeeper, and for that ball to go right in between his legs, my goodness grace, that ball has to stop. But you cannot do turnovers like that. At this level in this game. We saw what happened in the Reggae Boy game where Kanye Boys Clark turnover ball, and the South African attacking player, Foster, scored as well from that turnover. So it shows that this international level, you just cannot give away cheap goals like that. Will the South African team find a goal? I'm not sure. They really yet to get in the box of the Mexican team, but it's more of Mexico looking more comfortable on the ball. Anytime the 50-50 challenge is either the South African win it or they give up a foul, and that will give a bit of respite and for the Mexican team to organize again and to try to get opportunity to pin the ball in the box where they are very strong at this current time of scoring double digits goal from set piece as well in the last 12 months. But 1-0, yes, 10 minutes already in, looking comfortable, as you could see the man on the TV at this moment, Hugo Bras, the Belgium coach at the end of South Africa, Bafana, with his finger across his lip, really looking concerned of giving up a very cheap goal. That's one thing, for sure. You cannot give up, opportunities like that, especially playing against a host nation, or, a team is looking to break a spell, looking to gather momentum. You want to test the mentality of this Mexican team very early. Can they cope with the pressure? Can they play at home in front of the home supportive crowd as well? The last time this Mexican team hosted the World Cup in 1986, they played 5 They played 5 games. Yeah, 5 games played in that tournament where they got knocked out in the quarterfinals versus the West Germany team, lost on penalty. They played 4 games inside of the Azteca. The last game, the penultimate game that to get them into the semifinal for the very first time in the history of Mexico football in the FIFA World Cup. They lost, and that game didn't play in the Azteca. So the Azteca is a very strong hold of Mexican football. We know the history behind the stadium. So winning this group is a main priority, for this Mexican team. Winning the group, it's favorable to play more knockout games at home in the early round of the knockout round of this FIFA World Cup when it gets to the one game and you're out. Yeah. So they want to win the group. They know what is at stake. They know what is the fear factor around this World Cup of playing at home in front of the fans, playing in climb in on a high elevation as well, over 7,000 feet above sea level, playing with a much wide, big, huge pitch of spreading the football, getting the players chasing around, so they know all the X factors that and the optics that surround this stadium, Estadio Azteca, as it's a renamed stadium as well. What's the name of this this Azteca stadium? The name is Cuidad de Mexico City Stadium. That's the city they're playing in at this moment. Yeah, Mexico City Stadium. So not fast paced, very slow, trying to pull out the South African team, since went behind in the last 4 minutes. You could see that they're putting, 4 and 5 bodies, pressing when the ball is in the defensive third of the Mexican half and getting 6 players in their half, trying to close down, trying to press, trying to allow turnovers, just like what, would have watched that piece of highlights as well versus the Reggae Boys team, how much they really press in unit. But, this Mexican team, one thing I really like, with this team, I'm not sure if they are doing it at a perfection at this time. They play together like some African dogs in the wild where they're hunting packs. They play close. They don't. Sometimes they will play in space where the game will space rise out. When that's when the game really compact for them and they really need to get their skillful players 1v1 against the wing backs. They will do that, but it's a team that play compact. They don't play too far away. So when the ball turn over, they really hunt for that ball as well. So they're not going to run at a far distance of cover miles and miles on the pitch of trying to close on the player. So when the ball turn over to the South African, they are so close. And I'm really looking at this game to see if I'm going to see that with a more consistent rate of them, of the strength, the fitness, the willpower, the mindset, the mentality of leading 1-0, leading 2-0 in the game, and to keep your composure, keep the same mentality of the game is not done. The fat lady haven't seen as yet to go and finish off that game. Who watch basketball would have seen that game at the Madison Square Garden where almost 30 points, almost 30 points to San Antonio Spurs leading the Knicks and got pegged back in that game. And the Knicks won that game at the final whistle as well in that game. So we know sports is a very funny, game. We know a lot of stuff can happen, around sports as well. So 1-0 up, comfortable. We haven't seen the likes of Gutierrez getting on the football. We haven't seen the likes of Fidalgo, the two more attacking midfielders. And, the Mexican team, they always have very good technical midfielders in the middle of the park, So it's all about the technicality of those two players. Can those two players get the job done on the bigger stage? And if you look at what they have available on the bench, the Mexican team, you have it's Alvarez, not the most creative midfielder, Gilberto Mora. Everybody in Mexico want to see this player, get in the World Cup and play his best games in the World Cup. Luis Chavez, a player that he's not the most creative player, but you're talking about set piece. I think he scored a wonderful free kick of a goal in the last World Cup as well. I remember if it was against Saudi Arabia. They have Obid, Vargas, again, a midfielder that can come in. And the man, I think the two deal breaker that can really come and give them a lot of options in the middle of the park and on the wing as well. Alexis Vega, someone who have been playing excellent football in the last 18 months. Oberlin Pineda, not the best of club season in recent times since left the Liga MX, but still a very good player, for the Mexican team and a very important player. And, Mexico have a lot of game changer as well. When you look at the number 9, if Raul Jimenez is not cutting it, they have local boy as well, Guillermo Martinez, playing in the Liga MX, Santi Jimenez as well, playing in Europe, not so best of club farm, but they have players that, when you look at the quality and the potential that these players hold, they really can get things going for this Mexican team. But, meanwhile, looking at the South African team, they're 1-0 down. They have quite a few players that easily could get a start in the starting level. You're talking about Meremi, a winger. When you're talking about, Mofo King, a very good skill merchant, the number 10 as well. Oswin Apolis. I was very shocked not to see, Oswin Apolis getting that start, getting that nod. Even one of the wingers in this game are one of the number 9, to play as a supportive striker alongside Foster. But quite a few options, off the bench for Hugo Brass, for the South African manager. But 17 minutes going to the 18 minute, 1-0 for L3 over Bafana. Yes, the ratings so far, Q&A is 7.3, as it obvious he scored that goal, a turnover from the South African defensive line. So, intriguing one. Expecting a lot more, going forward, as well, as a home team, leading 1-0, you want to kill this game quick as possible. You want to get the second goal. You don't want to give this South African team, too much of. The longer this game goes on, it will easily be the South African team will have hope. And that's the one thing you want to give a team. You want to suck the belief out of a team where you want them to be, here comes on the right side. It's between Reyes, Alvarado, and Gutierrez. So you want to starve this team from having belief of, very good kick, Q&As. You could see that he's drifting off that left-hand side, coming inside, picking up number 9 position, dropping deep, going over the defender's shoulders. Again, when you have a winger like that, Q&As, coming off that left-hand side, can shoot with both feet, left, right, very good physical threat as well from the set piece. But when you have a player that coming from the left-hand side, coming in as close as partnering Raul Jimenez in that number 9 position, it's very difficult for a back three to contain. It's not like you looking at Jimenez and you're looking at, Q&As. Also, you have the midfielders running off the shoulders with the late run in the box, which it can happen as well. But we yet to really see that. Not so much, of Alvarado out on this right-hand side, out of the 3 attacking players for the Mexican. Q&A is really looking dangerous, as that would have been his second shot towards the goal. 1 off target and 1 on target. The one that penalized and punched and hit the win out of this Bafana team so far. So we are 20 minutes into the first half, and we yet to really see a positive threat coming from this South African team. But with 1-0, with 20 minutes only gone into the game, there's still belief, there's still life, there's still hope for this South African team. And they will not give up. They will fight until they cannot fight anymore, as they still have to believe as the Zulu brothers. Yes, people, as you're checking in as well, like up the video, subscribe if you haven't do so on various different platforms where this video is streaming on at this moment. Yes, we're on the Nick and Dan YouTube podcast, Daniel Talk Football and Nicardo Media House as well, people. So, looking at it at this moment, very frustrated South African team not getting some of the cards that, they are looking at. Avi Aguirre yet to really sit in his seat in the dugout. No signs of his compatriot, Rafa Marquez. No signs of him on the bench. I would love to see the camera hit him to see his face, how much it would have meant to him. Look at his face, how bright it would have been. He was the last player before QNS to score on a South African team in the FIFA World Cup that was in 2010 to get the equalizer in Johannesburg at that point to give the Mexican a lead, to get the Mexican a point in that game. You see the legends of the legends, the 5-star, the 5-star, the Samba boys, Roberto Carlos and Cafu, the man himself, arguably two of the best ever fullback to play the game in the world of football. Would you agree with that? Roberto Carlos and Cafu, two of the most prominent wingbacks who modernize attacking plays, set piece as well, bombing on that left and right hand side. And those two guys would have set the template for players like Marcelo, Dani Alves, Moikan, Michel Bastos, for the Brazilian national team. And it's a little bit of a danger for the Mexican team. And there's a handball. The referee waved and said, no, play on. Let's see if VAR will interrupt as well. The South African first time in the Mexican box. Looking a bit dangerous with a bit of a direct play as well. Winning the second ball. Here goes Reyners attacking the referee to hear what is the end result. Will it be a VAR decision? Not yet, but a yellow card for the man himself. Gutierrez, the number 26 for Mexico as well. Let's see what will happen from this set piece. Very interested to see how this Mexican team defending set piece. I think it was a very careless. Look, when you dive in at that, touch the player or not touching him, you give the referee something to call about. Rangel, direct play, a miscatch, didn't catch the ball properly, fumble it. But the likes of Faster, Sithole, these big men are pushing up into the Mexican box. At this moment, 6 South African players in the box of Mexico, close to around the penalty spot. Will Mbokazi get a very good cross in as well? Let's see what will happen with this set piece from the South African team. Going into the 24th minute of play. Yeah. It's a set piece. No, and it's defended well by the Mexican team. Defended very well by the Mexican team. Interested one. Very interested. Can I get this? This is joke. What is that? I was a bit distracted, not seeing him. What it was, maybe it's a water break at this time. Water break at this time. What is looking at something right quick research. What is the temperature at this moment in Mexico City? Cuidad, Mexico. So the temperature in Mexico at this moment, not so bad. Showing rain in the forecast, a couple hours from now, 76 degrees Fahrenheit in Mexico City. In the lows, 61 as well, but it's not so hot. It's not so hot, showing that the wind is around 10 miles per hour as well. Direction, the gust wind is 10 miles per hour. The regular wind is 5 miles per hour. See, you have something, tuning. Yo, you there? What's your thoughts on the first 20 minutes?
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes. What's your
Is
thought?
it water break?
I think it's water break. You know, I was a bit
Yeah, I
distracted
think.
a while ago. It's water break. You
Okay.
know, to get
Yeah, I
some
think.
advertisement in. You know, because Fox can make more money. Yeah, but
Let's say it's
very
the Super
sloppy,
Bowl.
very sloppy from the South African team. Cannot give away a cheap goal like that playing against one of the giant hosts of this tournament.
Dominate the game from start to the water break. What have South Africa does? What is South Africa was hiding? What were
I
they
don't know.
hiding?
I think they were more. I think they were
That
more
first
hiding
10
at the
minutes
tree
when
at
they
the back.
Yeah, but it doesn't do nothing because
Yeah.
that first 10 minutes when they concede, I was like, okay, that's their plan through the door. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
all of that hiding for nothing. You get what I'm saying? But Mexico have been very, very on the front foot and they look very impressive so far and a brilliant goal. You get what I'm
Yeah, from
saying?
QNS. Yeah, very good goal from QNS. Yeah, very good goal. So the
Yeah,
game
but
returned.
in return.
But what's your takes though? You know, we've been talking about the 22 players that started the game, but the Brazilian, you know, Wilton Sampaio, you know, I think this is his second World Cup as well. You know, I think he have control of the game very good. I think, you know, he makes some positive call. There was a shout in the box just a minute or two before the water break, but you know, didn't went to VAR. I guess VAR, you know, I'm on my TV's on mute because you know the FIFA World Cup regulations is very strict. Anything comes on across with YouTube, you know, your channel will be gone if any audio or anything picked up across your live stream or watch along. So my TV is mute. What you heard the commentators talk about the show that the South African made for handball from the Mexican defender in the box. What did you heard anything?
Yeah. No, I didn't hear that part. I didn't hear that part because I kind of have my thing turned on to it, so I didn't hear that part. But it was a very unfortunate situation. But what do you say? Do you think that's a penalty?
No, I didn't really see a clear evidence of a penalty. I would probably like to see a bit more clear, you know, replay. You know, maybe a replay flash, but you know, sometimes I head down and you know, looking at the screen, the monitor in front of me, maybe could have passed. But I was trying to figure out if the VAR was speaking to the referee. Didn't, as I said, my TV's on mute. I was wondering what the
Yeah.
commentator was saying as well, if any communication were made between the referee and VAR as well. But you know, it's something where it will definitely talk about in the post-game analysis for halftime break as well. So let's see where that conversation will go. But at this given point, 30 minutes in, no real threat from the South African team. You know, when will they really start to launch, you know, attack, you know, against this Mexican team? I know it will be hard. I know, you know, playing in this type of climate is very difficult of how you know, preserve your energy, you know, to continue to play at a high level throughout the game until the 90 minute as well. There's just 5 change. So they have a bit of substitutions, you know, quite a few players that can come off the bench are game changers, players in the attacking
Yeah.
third and midfield players as well. Yeah. So let's leave it like that until halftime.
Yeah.
Yeah. "30 minutes in, Mexico 1, South Africa 0. Goal in the 9th minute. A turnover by the South African players at the back. Scored by QNS, the man with the dual heritage playing in Saudi Pro League at this time for Al Qadisiyah. Let's see, you know, South Africa is really yet to create something for the two big men up front, Foster and Reiners. You know, someone who's a very physical player, likes the ball at his feet, you know, likes to get behind as well, but there's no real creative element. But you could see the moment the ball get to the goalkeeper, South Africa trying their best to get as close as possible to this Mexican team. But I'm going to make a quick claim and assumption around this Mexican team. What I'm seeing now it's totally a different story when Mexico was playing into the friendly. You know, a lot more pace, playing with a lot more fluidity, playing, you know, the wingers a lot more into the game. But these games, playing as a host, you know, it can be very, very detrimental to the host nation, you know, playing in front of your crowd. You know, you don't want to make mistake. You don't want to be prone to that as well. You know, you want to make sure that you mapped up everything. Every pass that you make is precise and accurate. But this South Africa team is trying their best to get. And here comes, oh, okay. And this is, I think this will be, I think, the first corner of the game for this South African team. Yes, this is their first corner kick. Is that offside? That seems like he was off. Yeah, it was off. Yeah, the linesman hold up his flag, you know, so it was trying, you know, he was trying, you know, Modiba on that left-hand side, you know, is trying his best to get out there as well. So let's see what's going to happen, man. But no real threat from this South African team. A bit dull, stalemate, trying to play direct down both flank, but I think the Mexicans, they are reading it very well. You know, they are not playing with a lot of intensity of pressing. They are allowing, you know, I think South Africa need to do a bit more. This is a team playing at home against a team playing miles away, playing in strange climate, weather, and they are not pressing. They're allowing them time and space to build up the play. Is when they get into that mid-third and also the attacking third where they really start to close down this South African team. But South Africa need to take a bit of authority in dangerous territory areas for their team. Yeah, but I think Mokofeng, that player, the number 10 on the bench, and here he goes from faster, and he slides faster. Oh, you have to pass the ball much better than that. Come on, you have to pass the ball better than that. You have to give your team a better passing than that. You cannot get in those areas and not getting more accurate pass. And you could see the Spaniard, the Italians as well in the stadium. David Silva, Carlos Puyol, the famous referee in Italy with the big eyeball, and the one that Zidane, Buck, Materazzi. Yes, all in the stadium watching alongside a few legends around them as well. And it's Gutierrez getting that ball, and it's Alvarado getting on that right hand side, trying to drift in as left foot, and it's Reyes doing the overlap. But here goes a very good tackle as well to the South African defender, Mbokazi, mapping up really good against the right back, Reyes from the Mexican team. Mexico having vast the stats, 52 possession, 48 to South Africa. Expected goal XGs 0.0 for Mexico, 0.4 for 0.00 for the South African team, and 0.42 in the XGs for the Mexican team as well. No big chances, no touches in the opposition box as yet for the South African team, while the Mexican have touched the ball 6 times in the South African team box. No shots on target, no shots off target for the South African team. You know, you have to give yourself a lot of opportunities. But there's one thing they're having a much better accurate passes as well. 82%, 113 accurate passes from the Bafana team compared to the accuracy of 90% of the Mexican team with 135 passes accuracy as well. So 5 fouls commit by the South African and 4 commit by the Mexican. Only 1 offside and 1 yellow cards in the game so far, and that one goes to Brian Gutierrez, the man playing for Chivas Guadalajara. So you could see on the screen, attempts on goal, 0 for the South African team. If you want to get something from this game, you know, if he's a Bafana player, you know, you have to start to take a risk sooner or later in the game. But I'm expecting that in the second half of the game, you know, giving away early opportunity to the Mexican team, allow them to score in the opening 10 minutes. I think it's a okay return. Post since conceding that goal, they didn't really give away any really sloppy plays in the back third. So let's see how they can close out the last 15 minutes as the Mexican is very sloppy in the midfield, very sloppy, very sloppy. This team, the Mexican team, the midfield, have always been, one of the problem, over the years of these players are not getting the ball thick. Let's see how long, Javier Aguirre can hold out of not getting on the youngster, the young 17-year-old Gilberto Mora, the man from Club Tijuana in the Liga MX, stay on that bench. Oh, and that's the first attempt that's come from Foster with a long ball pin towards him. Who gave him that? And it is the number 14, Mbokazi, as well from the back. You could see Montes, the much taller defender at the back, and Chavez was really looking on. Yeah, they know that was an opportunity that they gave up right in between them. Foster got a clear header towards the goal where it was off target, didn't trouble that Mexican goalkeeper Rangel in the goal. But 8 minutes or so left until the end of the first half. Let's see how well Mexico can close it off, and let's see how well this South African team can stay solid as much. But you can see the game plan, coming from this South African team. Both wing backs, are not really the ones that want going to take the game. They are the one that are outlet. They're going to get the ball, direct from one of the left center back, right center back, which is Mbokazi or Sibisi. Sibisi is on that right hand side, trying so many long passes. So Sibisi, so far have 4 passes into the final third, where he tried to play the ball long as well. No real accuracy in those, and also Mbokazi, the left center back, he created one chance, and that was the one for Foster. And he had passes into the final third. Also, accuracy of long ball, 1 out of 4. And that was the one for Foster. Accurate crosses, 1 out of 2. So it's not real bad, but it's yet to really cause issue for this Mexican team in the defensive third. So at this moment, the number 6 for the Mexican team is on the ground at this moment. Eric Liria, the man playing for Cruz Azul in the Liga MX. Wilton Sampaio, the Brazilian referee. Very good experience referee. Controlling the game very good. A referee from the Americas region. I was a bit surprised as well. Why would have gone with a European referee, but CONMEBOL and CONCACAF totally different, as well. So I think it's okay for a Brazilian to ref Mexican game, but I've been a bit skeptical to know that a team from Africa and a team from the Americas region, the Latin community in America, so refereeing the game. Bit surprised, but FIFA know what they're doing. The humidity is 55%, temperature 72 Fahrenheit. Not so hot. That is not really hot, but I know, having a bit of experience, playing in some very hot, humid New York weather, playing at the semi-professional level and stuff like that. If it's 85 degrees around the air, it will be like 90, 93 degrees on that grass. So the humidity and the heat can be a lot more tougher than what is blowing across the stadium as well. So we know how much that can have a effect on your lungs, especially or your breathing. Never played in an altitude before. I'd have loved to, but it would have been such a brutal game to play in an altitude of over the elevation of 70, not 70, 70, over like 78 feet above sea level. That would have been brutal than anyone who have never played in that climate before. Have to be fit to play those games, and it is the Mexican on the attack, and it's on the right hand side to Reyes, trying to get a build up play, with a midfielder, Alvarado, and his switch ball. Look, this Mexican team, they are not doing much. They haven't been real and it's Raul Jimenez. Oh my mama mia, Raul, That's a half chance for the cut. And it was on our side. Was it? I think that was our side. That seems like it was our side. He was trying to get a flick, and it was a magnificent save from Ryan Williams because he has to wait until the goalkeeper, dive. You have to wait until the ball pass Raul Jimenez's feet before you really can, make a decision whether you need to stay or you need to go and shift across the left-hand side to that left post. But the Mexican looking a bit dangerous, trying to get the second goal. And here goes, and it's on the post, and it's the man himself in that midfield. I think that looks like Fidalgo in. It's not Fidalgo, it is Quinones. Yes, the man that got the goal in the opening 9th minute hit the post. Mamma mia. Quinones, one more chance again from the L3 players. Is it Quinones? Yeah, it is Quinones, the number 16. It was him again. Shifting from that left-hand side, getting inside. He's all over the place. I tell you, man, this player, I think the Mexican have did very well, to get him over the line, to switch a legend. One of, I think, Colombia, Ecuador, one of those countries in South America. It's very good. I think he's a very good player. I think what he offer to this Mexican team, they don't really have much players like that. It's just the pace and strength and the intelligence of coming off that wing, drifting in around the middle of the park in between, the South African defenders. They don't know when to stay with him. They don't know when to go. And as a player playing out on that right-hand side in the back three, the right wing back, I think it would have been very frustrated as well, to play against a player like that who is not sticking to his position. He's roaming all over the pitch. And it's been a problem. It's been a problem. And I think something like that needs to get discussed at halftime in the dressing room, from Hugo Brass, the South African coach as well. So how we can contain Quinones from not getting all over in our defensive third of getting, free opportunities on the ball, getting kicks off the ball, of no real threat around him to close down that as well. But set piece. It is a set piece for the South African, which is Modiba, the left footer, shifting cross off that left-hand side, going over on that right-hand side for that in swinger. Let's see how well. And it is a short cross. It is a short pass as well. And he's swinging it in. No real threat from the South African team. Wow. And that is from the 14, Mbokazi. What a shot. He has a cannon on left foot, This is what the South African media have talked about, that he's the one that really can drift in the midfield and really pick up areas like that and get a cannon on left foot shot, towards the goal. And I think that was very well struck. And if he can step up in the middle of the pitch, there's a back three. There will be two players left back in the back. And the more the game progress, you expect Mbokazi to really drift in the middle of the park and give the South Africans a bit of an extra player in that midfield and more license for those three midfielders to drift a bit forward to close down play, but not seeing any of that yet, as it's not time for them to make any real risk, as they just want to, close out this first half. If they can get a goal, that would be brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, excellent. But they will be very happy as well to manage to keep this game at bay 1-0 after conceded early in the first half as well. Yeah. So on my watch, it's 4 minutes stoppage time. Mexico looking like they're just closing out this game. Want to go in the first 45 minutes of, leading 1-0, and then they rebuild from there again. It's a positive start, but if this Mexican team going to play like this, as you can see, whenever the diagram come up on the TV, the temperature, the weather, it's not so hot. And you could see the Mexican player a while ago, telling them, push the ball forward, get the ball up. There's no real sense of intensity and energy of getting the ball forward. They're just boxing the ball. And Mexican, they've been known for this, like, playing with the ball at back, not really doing much with possession, having a lot of touches, but no real danger. Yeah, And you could see the time is ticking down whenever there's a throw as well. I think there's a 5-second rule. Once the player have the ball in his hands, is a 5-second rule for the throw in as well. You know, you can get penalized if you get caught doing illegal stuff with the ball after 5 seconds runs out as well. So that's a very good rule, you know, for FIFA, but that will be detrimental to the teams that likes to throw the ball long into the box as well. Very positive, very simple. No real overcomplicated stuff in that first half. But the switching, you know, wow. Come on. Do better than that, man. Do better than that. Who is out there? You know, Modiba, that left wing back, number 6 for South Africa. You have to do better than that. You have to do better than that. You have to do better than that, man. You get the opportunity to cross the ball in with your left foot. Give Foster and Reines, the 2 number 9s, in the box for South Africa, opportunity. We see every time when that ball get into the box, you know, the likes of, what's his name, Montez and Vasquez. It's been issue for them dealing with the direct pass. And we know that from in the past, these 2 players, as much as Montez is over 6 foot, you know, Vasquez is not so tall, but they have issues of dealing with direct plays. We've seen it even with the national team when Mikel Antonio coming up against these 2 center half. They've been prone to make mistakes when it's direct play. And there's another mistake at the back again from the South African player. Will they get penalized? My goodness gracious, they got let off the hook. Another waste opportunity again. Another waste opportunity again from Brian Gutierrez, the Mexican. What he was doing in that box. Come on. Well, did he want to pass the ball? Did he want to shoot? What he wants to do? South Africa team don't work at crackers. How did these teams make it to the World Cup? I mean, look, Mexico not playing any football as well. This Mexican team, they're not playing to the potential. When we see them play the other night against Serbia, it was a lot better game. The intensity was there. The togetherness was there. The threat of players running through the midfield, the creativity was there. And you could see there's no real creativity, you know, in this game. And it is the final whistle of the first half, 1-0 for the Mexican team. Goal by Quiones in the 9th minute. And you can see the Mexican fans very happy, feliz in Estadio Mexico City Stadium as well. So that's your takes. That is it right there, folks. You know, seeing very, very positive plays from this Mexican team, but very slow, not real dynamic, no real interest of getting the ball quick as possible into the attacking third. You know, when you look at Liria, you know, really dropping in between Vasquez and Montez in at the center back in between 2 pairing. It's not really getting a lot of balls in the final third for this Mexican team. And you look at who is in the midfield or the most advanced midfield players in that midfield 3. You know, Eric Gutierrez, you see in one of the last play of the game, he got into the box and he really flew that shot. I think it was a pass, or you want to get that. I don't know what he was trying to do, you know, Brian Gutierrez, but Fidalgo, you know, I'm not seeing much of Fidalgo in the game. You know, he should be one of those players getting on the football, you know, direct the traffic. You know, I've yet to really see them really create a good opportunity for Raul Jimenez. Yes, I think there was a play where Raul Jimenez was pass a ball to where I think it was from the defender, a ear ball, you know, one that lob over the defensive line of the South African team. The South African team is not really a very eye-threatening team. They're not really good. They're not really good at the back. You know, they're prone to make mistakes, including the goalkeeper. So I'm a bit, you know, fiberglass enough. This Mexican team, they are not creating enough opportunity against a very weak link of our South African team. The midfield, the midfield three, they are not structured properly. There's so many gaps. There's so many rooms in the midfield. You're looking at Q&As coming over from that left-hand side, the left wing, dropping inside, teaming up with Rahul in the number 9 position. Sometimes drop in the number 10. One of those shots that he took before he hit the post, he left from the number 9 position, get into the pockets, into the number 10 area, and got a shot off with no real threat. No real threat behind him. So there's so much time and space in that game where the Mexican could have actually take advantage of. But I'm not sure if the pressure getting to them are on the day they are just not good enough, or overall they are just not competent midfielders that can really get the job done. But if these two players are going to be the two main players going forward for Javier Aguirre in big games, I think Mexico more likely will be in problem of not managed to create opportunity. When you come up against the tough opponents team, like, you know, if you look at what happened in Germany, I think the Mexican got knocked out by Argentina, and I think it was 2018 where they got knocked out, I think, by Argentina as well. One of those World Cup 18 or 22. They didn't really do much in the game against the bigger opponents. They really didn't do much in the game. So it shows you that they really struggle, you know, to do stuff against a bigger opponent. But coming up against this very basic, average South African team and not playing the type of football that the Mexicans want to be, you know, consuming, you know, from the watch parties, you know, from inside of the stadium. They want to be entertained and they want to see structured football. They want to see fluidity as well. But the game has been very poor on both sides. The South African team, they're very poor. The Mexican team, they're very poor. And I think if you look at the expression on the touchline coming from Javier Aguirre, the Mexican coach, he's not happy. He is not happy with how this game is panning out at this given moment. And it only takes one good moment for a very average, dull South African team to get a moment to score and equalize the game. And from there, the pressure started to hit, the fans started to grumble, and then the atmosphere and the temperature of the room inside of a stadium changed completely. And then people start to panic. Very young team. A lot of these players, this is their first World Cup. And home side, can they live and deal with that pressure? This is why it's important for South Africa, as much as they're limited to certain things and certain aspects in the final third, you have to keep your composure at the back. You have to give yourself a fighting chance going into the last, you know, quarter of the game, into the final 75, 80 minutes, 85. You have to give yourself a chance, because this Mexican team, mentality-wise, there's a lot of negative stuff I've said in the past. Mentality-wise, they're not the strongest. They just kind of finding some blueprint on how they really want to go about their program. But once you put this Mexican team under a bit of a pressure, under a bit of a panic stage where they are not having the easiest time on the ball, have to be thinking in a split seconds to make decisions, you will get opportunity. Promise, you will get opportunity. And team talk, I think has to be much more of a change of tactics, a change of philosophy coming from the South African team. I just feel like what they're trying to do, where the two wing backs, they're not good 1v1. Modiba, they're not good 1v1 of taking on Gallardo and Reyes, the two wing backs for Mexico. They're not very good with that, taking on them. So I think what can change? You cannot have two outlets players trying to stretch the Mexican team either right or left, and they cannot take on their player 1v1. They yet to really give two good crosses on either side where it will give Montes and Vasquez problem in that defensive third, where they're going to have to challenge directly against direct play with Foster and Ryan is up front, the two big men, someone who have scored a lot of goals locally in South Africa. So I'm looking at Modiba and Modua the number 20 and number 6. They are not efficient going forward. They are not good enough. They are defenders. They are defenders, and they're not the players to be the outlet to be 1v1. So what I would love to see, I would love to see, at least one change. Apollis, Oswin Apollis, I think he is the game changer for the South Africa team. If they're going to get a sniffer in this game, or if they're going to have any real sense of creative chance in this game, he is their outlet. When I watched highlights of him, versus the CONCACAF teams, Panama and Nicaragua, he's a very good player. He's a very good player, and he's a very good ball carrier. And 1v1, he's very skillful. And also, you want players in the midfield like the number 10, Mofo King. You want these players in the midfield who are 1v1 skillfully and can take on players with the ball dead at their feet. So changes has to be made. These South African players in the midfield and the 2 wing backs, they are scared. They are not good enough. They are not beating the Mexican defenders. And the Mexican defenders, Gallardo and Reyes, they are not the best 1v1. Especially the left back. He's always up wide up on that left-hand side. So there's always room. And you could see that the South African team, they're trying to hit the ball directly behind this Mexican team of catching when one of those fullback get forward as well. So I think that is their game model, and I think it's not working, but they have to get competent people on the pitch that can take on players 1v1 and can create, because Foster shows that 1v1 against the center back is okay. That's a good matchup. Ryanez versus Vasquez, the much less physical and more shorter player, is matching up to him as well whenever the ball hit with him. So you just need a bit more of that maverick of a player in that midfield. And I think Mofo King is that player that when he comes on the pitch, he have to take advantage of that as well. You get what I'm saying? So South Africa not good, no, I see why Jamaica get the draw with South Africa. I don't think they are that good. South Africa looks like Jamaica. And also, this one from Patrick Riley, bro, I think the heat is a factor. All right, so I don't know. I've never felt 72, 75 degrees Fahrenheit in an elevation of 7,000 feet above sea level. But on a regular day on the West Coast or up on the East Coast, that's not hot. That's not really hot. But the humidity is, I think it is the problem right there, because when I look at the weather map, the wind that's blowing across the stadium, it's 5 miles per hour, but the gust is 10. So that tells you that there's no real wind around the place. It's a bit dry. Dry heat as well can be a factor as well to a lot of players. But with this Mexican team, played a lot of their friendly games in the last 18 months on home side. These are the core of players that's continuing to get picked. This Mexican team, the entire squad, most of them are locally in the Liga MX. So the heat should not be a major factor. It is a factor, but it should not be a major factor. And why this Mexican team cannot play with slightly a bit of more intensity against a poor South African team. Poor South African team. I'm expecting better. I've seen this South African team perform much better in the last African Cup, even in 2023 when they went to the semi-final. This South African team can perform much better. But what is happening? Is it the three at the back is really causing the issue? It's not allowing the players, much time to express themselves on the pitch, and also the maverick of a players that can take on the players 1v1. The coach decided that he's going to go, defend and go to preserve and see how he can close out the team as long as possible, rather than get your maverick of a players on the pitch, your most, prominent player on the pitch that be known to take on players, Apollis, Mofo King. These are the players that should be on the pitch very soon in the early phase of the second half. So I'm not sure if 72 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit is a factor in Mexico at this time. Maybe if it was 85 with that humidity, then I will say, okay, it's more of a dry heat with high humidity, but less wind of 5 miles per hour and 10 miles per hour gusts. That's not strong enough. That's not strong enough to bring a very cool temperature, but it should be a very good, calm temperature for these Mexican players. I'm expecting the South African players should have problem. Mexicans should not have no problem of the elevation inside of the Azteca. It should be no problem. So I'm wondering what is causing this type of a traffic of a football where it's just dull. It's just dull. It's no real fluidity, no real entertaining. I watch an interview with Hernandez, on a podcast on YouTube. I remember if it was on Cooligan, and he was talking about what Mexican have to do. You have to go out there and express yourself. You have to go out there and play, the football with a lot of entertaining package. You have to play with a rhythm. You have to find that rhythm and allow the fans to ride with that rhythm so they can be right on top of you. So they will bring that atmosphere. And he said as well, Gilberto Mora is a player that should start in this Mexican team because he's more of a player that will take risk. He will take risk. These players for the Mexican team nowadays in that midfield, they are not even so technically good enough to, if you ask me to break down even a French team, they're going to struggle. If they are struggling against this South African team, look what happened into the last World Cup. It tells you that the same midfielders that played in the last World Cup, all three of them are on the bench. Edson Alvarez, Luis Romo, and Luis Chavez. It's a new midfielder, Illyria, Fidalgo, and Brian Gutierrez. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if they're going to cope and deal with this intensity. This is the magnitude of the game that they're going to play. But not too much pressure, not too much pressure on this Mexican team as it is the first game of the World Cup. But you want to send out a message because the Mexican media is so toxic. The Mexican fans, they are so toxic. Just one gash and the whole place blew up. So you don't want to give any room for this Mexican fans to erupt like a volcano. You don't want to give them that opportunity. And then once that starts, then my goodness, mama mia, all the negativity start fly over their head. Players start playing at pressure. You hear from the players and all the fans don't like them. The fans are too toxic. The fans are too negative. But it's football. These people pay a lot of money to come and see the national team win and give them something to smile about. Mexico is like a team, like Barcelona. If they're not playing, the tradition way of playing, the Barcelona way of how they like to play, clean sweep football across, the pitch, tiki-taka, slow passes, build up play. When it gets into the final third, bam, 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 you find the ball in the back of the net. So if you are not playing with your identity and what it represents you as a nation, you're going to win, but the fans are not going to please. And you don't want that from the fans. You always, as a Mexican player, you should always want to get your fans on side with you. Once you get the fans on side with you, football will be nice forever, in Mexico. Yeah, as they will say, when the football is good, it's mucho dulce, sweet, like sugar. Yeah, so Mexico can be beaten. South Africa is just be so poor. Not sure if they can do it. Much continues like this, fans will start booing the South African fans team is bad. Yeah, I'm telling you, you will start to hear the whistle, you will start to hear the boos, you will start to see the beer start to throw down on the dugout of the Mexican team. So it can happen, and you don't want that to boil over this early in the group stage. And arguably, this South African team is more likely the weakest team in this group because the Czechia team, it's a much resurgent Czechia team, and the South Korea team has been into the last 5 World Cups. So there's a lot of experience there with that South Korea team and the players that they have and the way they modernize their own identity of adapting to how European plays and adapting to what is their game model. So let's see what's going to happen. First shot and off target for Brian Gutierrez. It has been a very good live wire. Mix mixed package of games for him as well. Another turnover from. I mean, look, the South African players, the defenders, they are not even good, on the ball. They cannot even pass the ball out, and they're trying, numerous occasions to pass the ball. They don't even look comfortable doing it. These players at the back for South Africa look average. They look unbalanced. They look like they cannot play the football, 5 passes at the back before they kick it long. So I don't know, man, but let's see what's going to happen. Out on that right hand side, getting faster in the game, faster and Ryan is up front. Their first touch has been poor. You're expecting a lot more where 2 big men up front, you want the ball to stick. Yeah, you want that ball to stick on your feet where you have the opportunity to get your midfielders in, get the wide men a bit up further, and you have more, leverage and more opportunity in that final third. So let's see if there will be a better show for this Mexican team. To be honest, coming into this World Cup, I was having the Mexican team to be probably the best CONCACAF team to go a much farther distance. If you ask me, in this World Cup, I see them as a very dark horse amongst the 3, not amongst the 3, but amongst the entire 47 teams that they're going to be competing against to win the World Cup. But I expect them to be at a more advanced stage when it comes down to the 3 amongst the 3 CONCACAF teams. So let's see, what will happen. But playing on home court in the Azteca, again, it will be advantage and disadvantage to a lot of teams. But you look, the player number 16, QNS, he's such a very good player. He's a risk taker. He's going to make mistakes, but when you talk about, pick up the ball, run with it, make good decisions, make good off the ball running, he's very good at that. And it only takes a very good midfielder to get on that pitch to help to feed him with the ball as well, and to try to isolate him as possible with the South African defenders. Yeah. Jamaica drew against South Africa team with our D team. So Mexico is in trouble. I mean, look, I can't even rubbish that sentiment that you're sharing, and will you call that reggae boy team a D team or just a pickup team that said, hey, listen, come play some football. We have a quick arrangement with South Africa to play a game. You understand? But I think it's more than a D and mixed with a couple, C players as well. Yeah. But I don't know what this South Africa team was hiding. Is it that the game that they want to play against the reggae boys to play with 3 at the back, where he was hiding that type of a setup, and how they're going to approach, because they know that the Mexican team can play in that setup as well, changing. Wow. And here he goes again, and it is Gutierrez, and it is Brian Gutierrez, and it is penal, and it is a red card, and that is it. That is it for who got that red card. That is it. Very good run from Brian Gutierrez, as that seems like it's sit holy. The number 13 of South Africa got that red card as well. I think that is a red card. And now South Africa is in danger, and their most defensive-minded player will miss the next game. Crazy game. I think Brian Gutierrez, as much as I've been complaining about the midfielders in the Mexican team, I think he has been one of the most positive one of getting forward, running behind when Raul, drop deep, running off the shoulders of that back three, giving them problem. So they're already looking at QNS coming from that left-hand side inside, and Raul's dropping deep. Should I go? Should I stay? And then Brian is the one that running off those shoulder when those pockets open for the runners as well. And, I think it was a very good pass. But let's see if they can really capitalize on this free kick. Will Raul Jimenez struck this one? Seems like it is Raul Jimenez, yeah, but cannot complain, man. I think it's a red card. And what will the South African coach do at this moment? What will he do? Will he revert back to the original back 3, back 4, and take one of those number 9s off and get a proper midfielder and a winger on, so they can, approach a game at a more of a low block and have outlets who are skillful to, to attack the Mexicans 1v1. Wow. First game in for South Africa, a red card. The next game will be against Czech Republic. Then close out against South Korea. And that one hit the wall, and it was a wide left-footed shot from Gerardo Gallardo, the number 23 for L3. So, one man down. And there's a thing. there's a thing as well with this Mexican team. What they said that give the Reggae Boys more time on the ball. You give them, it's like you're putting them, they are putting themselves in more at their own risk of having more time on the ball. No, one man down, one man up. What will the Mexican do in this game? You have to go search for the second goal. There must be a second goal coming soon. The level of intensity, the level of playing with a lot of fluidity must raise from this Mexican team. And you could see Brian Gutierrez again. He is that runner in that midfield three. He is that runner, man. The new guy in the midfield that's picking up some very clever positions for the Mexican as well. You can look a shot of the veteran player of Real Madrid and Mexico, Hugo Sanchez. But another corner kick for the Mexican, and it is Alvarado, the right winger, coming over on that left-hand side. Will it penalize the South African? Yet another poor cross into the box, and it's a well map up from Liria as well. Very, very good. But South Africa, it's not good. It's not good, man. It's not good. I was expecting a better showing for the South African team, but they show that there are levels to football. Yeah, they show that themselves that there are levels in football where, when it comes down to the big stage, you cannot match the intensity and you cannot match the expectation. And I'm telling you this, the South African media and the content creators, they will have a field day if this continue like this at the end of the 90 minutes. They will have a field day of going at this coach and also at the players as well. The crowd getting antsy already. Watch them turn, especially if the Mexican can't get that scoring goal. Yeah, man, I think the fans are expecting the goal to be coming anytime soon. What a fantastic pass from Vasquez, picking out Alvarado, and it was slightly over it. What a magnificent pass, but it was just slightly over it from Vasquez. You could see the charge he put in that ball. Whip it diagonal across on that right-hand side. That's something what bread and cheese for Sergio Ramos. The crowd are getting very agitated as well, especially if this South African team go and get one. You could imagine the atmosphere South Africa score. My goodness grace. Let's see, man. South Africa still in it, 1-0. They're still in it. They just have to be patient. They just have to sit very tight. Defensively, they have to be much even solid, but they're going to have to know that as the game grown older, they're going to have to give up a lot of space behind. But how long will it take for this coach to make a substitution? That's what I'm asking. How long it will take him to make a substitute? Wow. And that is a shot on target from the left wing back as well. Yeah, very good shot. It's on target by Modiba. Not so fancy in the goal today from either goalkeeper, Rangel or Ryan Williams. Not collecting the ball, not putting their body behind the shots. Could see a little bit of fumble whenever the ball gets in the hands of these two goalkeepers. But what the Mexicans are doing? credit to the South Africans, trying to press them. That's one of the only real positivity I can say about the South African. They are using their energy and utilizing it to press this team. And there's a change coming up as well. Faster is coming off. Who will it be? Who is coming on? Mbata is coming on at this moment. Mbata is number 5 is coming on. Or the number the number 5 is coming on. Someone who is a defensive midfielder by trade. So he's taking off as a center forward and bringing on a player that's going to play in the middle of the park, a non-traditional creative player. I think this coach is doing something wrong at this moment. He needs game changer off the bench. He needs game changing off the bench. And they are not looking fancy of playing the ball right across their defensive line. They're not fancy at it. They're very untidy. It's not clever enough. It's very, dirty, as the Mexican probably will be saying, the South African team is mucho sucio, very nasty. They're not very clean on the ball. They're not so clever with their first touch. Their first touch is very poor. So another set piece as well for this Mexican team. They got so many opportunities with free kicks, corners, and they haven't really shown like a team over the last 12 months that who have scored double digits set piece goals over the last 12 months. So let's see if they can really, pin one. See the tussle between Mbokazi and Vasquez. Jan Vasquez. One thing I do like, with this Mexican backline, they have been playing for quite some time. There are different changes, but more so in the midfield. But you could see the years of Johan Vasquez and Cesar Montes have been playing together, 2 center back. They have been playing together for a very long time. And Johan Vasquez is just 27, 28. Yeah, and I think Montes is a bit older, but they have been playing together for a very long time. 2 players coming up as well through the youth ranks of Mexico. Gallardo out on that left-hand side, the coach that was there before this current coach wasn't really playing him, phased him out, and they brought him back. Another player that been playing for the last, 6 years for Mexico as well. So the backline is experienced. Reyes as well, made his debut a few years ago. So he's very experienced with this group of players and playing for the Mexican team as well and being in camp. So the backline is a very good backline. Rangel as well, the goalkeeper, very experienced goalkeeper at the club level at in the Liga MX. And then you have the veteran goalkeeper, Guillermo Ochoa. I think the Mexican kind of slightly, is getting a little bit better. It's slightly getting a bit better. Slightly. And that's all that's all you want them to play. Very, very good, with their quick feet in the midfield, making the passes a bit more zipping, in the midfield where the South Africans cannot come short. They have to really, challenge themselves, whether they need to stay or go, whether they need to run it their runners, whether they need to pin closer to their marker. You're zipping around the passes like that, you will create opportunities. But I need to see one more change from the South African team to give them opportunities and time to do something in the game. And I think that's a very good, tidy played out from the back as well. Very good. That's probably one of the best plays they made all game long, from the back to the midfield and then to the winger out on that right hand side. So let's see if that can continue. But I'm looking at this game where, looking at it, Mexico 1 player up and there's no real urgency on the ball. There's no real urgency. Look at Raul Jimenez. They're 1 man up. He should be sprinting towards that keeper. Everybody should be going 1v1 against the marker because they outnumbered these players. The man them have 9 outfield players, including the goalkeeper. So now we are seeing another opportunity of another player, is coming on, Zauni, Adams is getting off as well. So we yet to see some of the prominent ones, Mofo King and also Moremi and Apolis. I would like to know what is the reason behind of having these players on the bench. My goodness gracious. I'm so happy I'm not a Mexican fan because I will be living it at this moment. I will be living it, man. People, just give me 1 second. Let me mute this and just to hear what the commentators saying, about this Mexican team. The first 5 seconds, it not sound good. The first thing we hear Landon Donovan said, go get that second goal. Go get that second goal. You can hear the crowd already booing. You can hear they are getting frustrated. They just passing the ball in their defensive third with 1 man up. Look at Liria, the number 6 in the midfield, screaming at the 2 center half. What are you guys doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 South Africans in the defensive third. They're taking opportunities. My goodness, no. It is getting really serious in the Azteca. It is getting really serious in the Azteca. Let me go mute again for a bit of second. Yo, this game, this game is a game for the history books. I'm telling you, man, this game is a game for the history books. The fans turn out in their numbers. The atmosphere was there just by the anthem was ringing off in Azteca. But the players, the more the game goes on, I realize the fans are getting more frustrated. You could see Raul is calling for that ball. South Africa is using their athleticism, of closing down and their physical power just by running around on the pitch. You could imagine if the South African team have a bit of an extra edge of them in the final third with a bit of quality in their build-up play. How much should that be of a death row for this Mexican team losing their first game for the first time in over 25 years? In that first group stage match. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. This is very crazy of what is really happening at this moment. It's very crazy. Very, very crazy. You could hear the commentators. They are very frustrated themselves. They're expecting. Oh my God, another turnover again. Kevin Jones, speed out. Speed out. Wow. All these preparation. Who is that? Gilberto Mora is coming on. The young fella. Yeah. The superstar is coming out with Luis Chavez. Brian Gutierrez is getting off the pitch as well. Fidalgo is coming off the pitch as well. So it's a midfield change from one creative to another creative, from a box to box to another box to box. A more of a dynamic left-footed midfielder, likes to whip some very good set piece in the box. The name of Luis Chavez. Let's see what the young teenager will bring to the party, people. He's on the pitch. Yes, the young man is on the pitch. Surely know if he was in Jamaica, he was playing schoolboy football. Just like what Rudolph Speed said, if you are playing Manning Cup, you cannot make my team. So I'm highly assured that Gilberto Mora will be somewhere in Jamaica if the Reggae Boys make it to the World Cup with such super talent. Yeah? But that's his preference. If you're not playing at the Premier League level, you cannot make his team as a young 16, 17-year-old if you have that super talent of a player. But again, in some sense, kind of make some logic, because if you're that talented, why are you just playing the Manning Cup and not Raul Jimenez? And that's it. Golazo. That's it. That's it for the game. That's it. No. That's it. That's it. That's it. See? That's it. That's it for the Bafanas. Lights are out. Lights are out at this moment. A relief from the fans. Look at them face. Yeah, look at the fans them face in the National Stadium. It's a relief. Relief of joy, relief of frustration, relief of everything. Happiness. Raul Jimenez, the all-time scorer with Borgetta. 46 goals for the national team. What a milestone for the Mexican who recently signed for Wolverhampton. But you can see, man, very good pass on the back post. Very good pass. That is it, Raul. If Mexico going to go any further beyond the quarterfinals, that man has to be at the party. He has to be at the party, and to have a very nasty head injury over the last couple of months or close to a year like that and make a return back to football, you could see very emotional on the players and the fan side as well. You see that joy. It's a moment of a mental stress release from the fans, man. They don't know the fans can really sit down and enjoy them beer. Yeah, and enjoy whatever they are snacking on at this given moment. And they're like, the rain is coming down. Look at the La Bonita chicas in the National Stadium jumping for joy. Yeah, look at the fans, the passion, everything. There's only two things in Mexico: Christianity and football. That's it. There's no other thing in football. Maybe you can add Coca-Cola to it. Maybe you can add Coca-Cola to it, but there's only two things in Mexico that they praise: football and Christianity. Nothing else. There's nothing else in Mexico that they praise: the football on the pitch and the Christianity in the church. But yeah, I think the Mexicans have slightly done enough to get that 2-goal lead. I think before the change of Luis Chavez and Gilberto Mora came on, you could see that slightly a bit of a change where the ball started zip slightly a bit better in that midfield, and the players are taking less touches off the ball when it into the mid-third and the attacking third of the half as well. And then I think it pays off, quick change of feet from Alvarado on that right-hand side to kick that ball on his left foot and get that ball at the back post. And I think the defender that was sleeping, who was marking Raul Jimenez, and that was it. Once he got, full headed, towards that goal, there's no way Ryan Williams will be getting any hands or feet on that ball as well. And that's curtains for them. That's curtain for them. And their next game will be Czech Republic. Yeah. South Africa game will be against Czech Republic coming up on the 18th of June. That game will play at 12 p.m. Wow. That game will play in Atlanta, Georgia. The Benz Arena. Water break at this given time. So a bit of a relief as well for, the coaching staff. Get some team talks in, get back the players organized, give them a bit of a team talk, just try to see out the game, finish out the game, close out the game. If you can grab one, that would be excellent, but try to, starve them away from the ball as long as possible. But the most important thing is to keep the structure and the organization, and how you expect them to play with the two changes that made just 5 minutes ago, in the 65th minute. So let's see what will the Mexican players do and how they will react of leading 2-0 in a opening game of the FIFA World Cup. Different scoreline than what we witnessed 26 years ago in Johannesburg, where Tishala Shabalala scored that famous goal for the Bafana Bafana, and Rafa Marquez scored an equalizer to get the Mexican a point in Group A of the FIFA World Cup in 2010 as well. So Vasquez is on the ball, moving it around. Gerard Gallardo inside the midfield. Liria playing it back. Vasquez, Montes. And the South Africans, they are still pressing. Finally they finally break the lines of the pressing for the South African team. Very good pass from Reyes. Oh, that was offside. That was offside. That was a close call from the linesman as well, over on that far right-hand side of the Mexican. He was off. That's very poor. Very poor movement from Rahul. I would like to see Rahul making that pass to Q&As, taking on that player 1v1 as well. But it's curtains. Yeah, it's curtains. That's it for the South African team. If they can get back one before the last 5 minutes, then they will get themselves back into the game. But I don't see any goals, any real threat coming from the South African team. They haven't shown it in the last 3/4 of the game. And here goes again. Penalty. No penal. No penal. Body check, says the Brazilian referee. Was he offside? No, he was onside. Oh, there's an elbow there. You see that one right back. Nah. Oh, no falta. No falta. Get up. Get up, Raul. No falta. No falta. Nothing. Body check. 50-50. Q&As. Oh, very strong tackle in the middle by CBC. Very strong tackle in that middle of the park from the left-right center back of the Bafana team. CBC looking very aggressive. Looking very aggressive, very hungry. Of his team is chasing the game 2-0 down. Very aggressive play as well. But I guess the Mexicans are off the hook. Yeah, the Mexicans are off the hook of the Mexican team was very poor, coming up against a very poor South African team. Didn't really give them any challenge. Up to 74th, 75th minute in the game, yet to really give this Mexican team a pushback of try to retaliate off some of the poor plays that they made in the first half, of try to get back at their rivals on the pitch. But it says a lot in this South African team. They're losing, but it seems like their legs are going. And, you could see the Mexican team having the ball deep into their defensive third and mid third, but there's no real more pressing on the ball for the South African. It's very tough to do this each time the Mexican pick up the ball and play to press them up 6 players in the defensive third to close them down and to win the ball very high up the pitch and to allow turnovers and create moments in dangerous areas. But the last 15 minutes left in the game, I cannot even. Wow, very strong tackle. Wow, cannot see them doing this entire 90 minutes. The team needs a bit more change. I don't know. I'm waiting for the return game of the South African team playing Czech Republic next. Who is coming on? There's 2 more players coming on as well for this South African team. Who are these 2 players? Yet to see. So the maestro is coming on. The midfield maestro is coming on in the middle of the park. Edson Alvarez with his 99 appearances for the Mexican national team. Very good landmark, for the Mexican former captain as well. It's a very good landmark to be, to get your 100 appearances. You'll probably get that into the next game against South Korea, and that would be a very good landmark as well for any Mexican to get at a FIFA World Cup, your 100 appearance. Now, the prominent one, the maverick of a player, Apolis, finally getting on the pitch as well. Is it too little too late with 2-0 down, 1 man down as well? Trying to bring on, a very dynamic player onto the pitch with little bit too late. And you want to say no real time, for him to really to create anything because there's no real flow. There is no real, organization or penetration of this Mexican team from the South African team for the Mexican to really to scare it off. They took off their 2 number 9s that started as well. Yeah, bringing on a player as well. Who is this player that they brought on as well? Magopa. Evidence Magopa. That's his name as well. The player that came on the pitch for Ikram Ryanair's. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Anything change with the South African team in the next 5 minutes? If they will get a consolation goal or anything, but the Mexican I sure know Cesar Montes and Johan Vasquez want to get a clean sheet in their opening game inside of the Azteca. Zip it, break the line, get the ball wide left. And it's Gilberto Mora, the teenage sensational. Stupido from Gerard More Gallardo. Stupido amigo. Another sub is getting off the pitch, coming on as well. Very good player of him own, Alexis Vega, coming on to the pitch in the last 11 minutes for the Mexican national team. The famous number 10 of Giovanni Dos Santos. And the man himself, Blanco, getting the ball wide out on that right-hand side to Alvarado. You don't know when they're going to come to the party. You get what I'm saying? You don't know when this Mexican team will come to the party. But people, it's a very tough watch in a lot of part of this. Burn out all the energy you have that can deliver on the pitch. I think he's done, man. I think his days should be done and over. How many change did the Mexican made? They made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they made all their substitutions already. And he's not off. But let's see how much more Alvarado have in the tank. Gilberto Mora, the young teenage sensational. The new wonder boy for Mexican football. Playing it. What is happening? The lights are going out. Yeah, the room is getting much darker for the South African team. 2 red cards in the game. Arguably, 2 key players. One is a starter and one is a player that the coach seems like, players can come off the bench and try to do something, but it's not a good look. The South African fans look very appalling at this moment where they're just not looking happy. They're looking more of what the hell are we watching? This cannot be the team that we witnessed played some very good football in the qualification rounds and also at the African tournament. But these are the stuff that happen, when you come to the big time party, you cannot deliver. You get stage fright. You're just looking at you're not doing anything, and it shows up as well that you're coming up against better players. You're going to look more than even average on the pitch. And then when the team is not playing structural, the team didn't set up the perfect way, I think, to capitalize on the weakness of this Mexican team. You cannot have 2 wing backs that cannot take on 2 players. You cannot have wing backs cannot take on 2 players and cannot deliver very good crosses into the box. Then what's the purpose of them when you're playing in that back three with the only 2 real man that going to be out on that either wing, the left and the right? There's no real purpose of doing that. So it's just a bit of a chaotic football they try to play, create a bit of a nervous racking by doing direct plays versus this Mexican team. It just didn't really work to the standard of where they can or could have hurt this Mexican team. So they're going to have to come back. And I think they're in very good deep trouble as well if they lose the next game, especially 2-0, because conceded 2 goals in the first 2 games and then maybe win the third game and expect to get a best third spot. Highly unlikely, that will happen, even though it's a team getting that best third spot as well. But it could really get ugly and dark as quick as possible in this tournament for South Africa. But what I'm seeing at this moment, not good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough for the South Africa team. I'm not sure if they can go another level, if you ask me. They even show that they are a car that have a standard engine. This is crazy. 3-0. No, bit wasteful. Bit wasteful by the South African team. Playing with 8 outfield players. That's supposed to feel bad. People, you see what carelessness do? Cesar Montes get a red card. This is what carelessness do. Yeah? Should have never gone on to this. What if this was like a regular club game where a player missing 3 games after picking up a straight red card or something like that? Carelessness. But it shows you that once you have someone to at least make an effort with this Mexican backline, especially the 2 CBs and the wing back, you can create a bit of a problem. You can create a bit of a havoc. Yeah, you can create space and moment for yourself. But you just need people to take the risk and to run at this Mexican team. They are not the best. They're on a bounce back trail. I think structural wise and organization wise, administration wise, they try to do the best things. But when you're talking about a super team, this team is nowhere close to one of the best Mexican teams that we have seen. Remember 2018, so many Mexican players that in the squad playing in Europe. This is more of a local based team, so something like that. So, I'm just looking at it, man, where they picked up a red card. The player will be a miss in the next game. They have cover, but he will be a miss. He's probably arguably the most experienced player in that backline, Cesar Montes for Mexico. So let's see how they will going to deal with that as well. But I mean, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. South Africa, they have been poor, but a poor team can show up a lot of holes in this Mexican team. A very poor team. Yeah, a very poor South African team on the day shows a lot of holes. An advantage for team. How team can really hurt them. Telling you, it shows them up, but they just slightly did enough to get 3 points, and I think they were just good enough to get those 2 goals in the back of the net. Whether or not they played poor, but you have to give those 2 players a lot of credit to take the opportunities. Probably 2 of the best players as well on the pitch. But Mexico is off. Mexico is off to 3 points. Let's see how they will rock and roll, and let's see how they will navigate themselves into the next group games as the 14th place on the FIFA ranking. Mexico will go up against South Korea. That's a game that they cannot take very light, because a South Korea team not going to play as bad as the South Africa team. Sorry, that's one thing I know for sure. A South Korea team will not play that bad after the South Africa team. So they will give a lot more challenge and bring a lot more to the party. So they will be a lot more entertaining, and there will be a lot of challenge for the Mexican midfield, because there's no real threat that players run into that midfield. There's no horizontal passing. There's no clever passing around the corner for or from the South African defenders and midfielders. So no real challenge. But that's where I leave it. Going to get some stuff done and prepare myself again to be back here for later game, as this will be a regular duty for me to be here every single game in this FIFA World Cup. Much love and respect to each and everyone. Continue to support the various platforms, and I really appreciate you guys. As Nicardo Media House clocking out, Nicardo, Nick and Dan YouTube channel clocking out, and also Daniel Talk Football is clocking out as well. So people, bless up on yourself. I'm out, and your way out. Don't forget to smash the like button. You understand? Bless up.